As we take a look at a time of the year when a lot of young folks head to the show arena, a lot of things have to happen before you get whatever livestock you may prefer ready to show. Dave Geyer's my guest, and he works with the folks at Purina as he is their show chow ambassador. Dave, let's talk a little bit first of all about what's the purpose of, well, in today's world, why do we show animals?
Well, it's just like it's just like NASCAR or racing cars or something like that. Showing animals is because you can drive around the street in your VW or whatever it might be, but someone's going to fix one up and take it to the car show, or someone's going to fix one up and race one. The cattle's the same way. We got the commercial industry where people breed them on the commercial side of it for product and for meat for consumption, obviously. But the show industry is just a whole next step. It's putting the chrome wheels on them and purdying them up, clipping them up, making them look nice, going to the show and showing off what one is an exceptional animal is supposed to look like, just like a car at a race or at a car show.
Now, an exceptional animal on show day really requires a whole lot of time and effort prior to that. You were working with the young folks in the cattle industry as they prepared a steer for show. Any idea how many hours a young person ought to put into an animal to get ready to be competitive?
It's endless. It's an all-year project. Normally they get their calves probably in November, sometimes even before that. This particular state here actually has a feeder calf program. That feeder calf program, they may start that in June, July, and then go clear through a whole year and end up in August. So it's endless a number of hours. I mean, compared to the other projects out there, it probably takes more dedication. Shouldn't say it takes more dedication, but it takes more time on a total time basis, because it's a year-long project and it's an all-day project, just keeping them cattle cool, clean, and getting ready for show.
You put on a demonstration for the young folks, and lots of moms and dads tuning in here as well to find out. I was surprised the first thing you got into was how important the routine was at home. Tell us more about that routine and why it's so critical.
Well, the routine at home is what wins a show. A show is not won at the show. You don't go to the show and all of a sudden you got the best one there and you get the banner and you go home. It don't work that way. You win a show at home. You work every day. The feeding routine is very important, because if you're not on a schedule, they get throwed off feed. If they get throwed off feed, it sets you back on weight and stuff like that. And weight and performance has so much to do with it as far as getting to your end product. But that daily routine at home is what wins a show. You are not going to be given. It's not going to be given to you when you get there. You can clip one the best of anybody there. You could fit one the best of anybody there. But if you haven't done your homework, I guarantee you're not going to win that show. It's done at home.
How critical is a routine when it relates to the hair? Because in today's world, fitting and showing, a lot like we get ready every morning for work or you spend time at the barber, there are some techniques that make things look better.
Absolutely. As far as the hair goes, you want to keep them clean. And as you're keeping them clean, you're actually taking some oils and stuff out of the hair, and you're stripping the hair as you're working it and blowing it and brushing it and stuff like that. So you're going to damage the hair. An animal, our hair is one thing. We've got shampoos and stuff like that, and we got a head of hair. But the animal, the steer or heifer, is the whole body. And so you've got to put some oils back in the hair to keep it healthy, keep that skin healthy. Or otherwise, you start stripping the hair. It'll break. It gets brittle, split ends, just like a human's hair. I mean, it's no different than a human. If you take, you've seen them women that's got that long, pretty shine to their hair. It's absolutely, why? Because they've taken care of it, and you've seen the opposite too, where no one's taking care of it, and it's ratty and all that. And that hair quality is exceptionally is a very high priority when it comes to the show industry.
Let's jump into the point we're at the show. It's show day. It's time to get things going. Let's say we're going to show later today, so we decided to put off any final trim until that day. Where do we start on the animal? I heard a lot of young kids in this. Do we trim the hooves? Which end do we start on? How do you start to address an animal?
Well, trimming the hooves would obviously be something you do at home. But on show day, our routine is get there early. There's nothing I hate worse than someone showing up. The show starts at 9 o'clock. I don't want someone to show up at 9 o'clock. The show started. Everybody's in motion. Everything's busy. And the next thing you know, you get somebody coming in with their wet calf and he's slinging water somewhere. So our show day routine is get there early, get your calf clean, get him washed, get him cleaned up, get him blowed out, get him dry, let him lay down and rest because he's got a long day ahead of him. So and feed, because you don't want one that's hollowed out. So one thing on show day that's very important is getting them fed and getting them rested. That's the main thing we do different on show day is be early, rest, and get them full so they're full and they look good when they go to the ring and not wrung out. And then I was just going to say, then on far as preparation, we like to start, like if our class is coming up, we like to start at least an hour ahead of our class. If we've worked on our calf plenty at home, he's used to standing there. He's used to being worked on for an hour or two or sometimes 3 or 4 hours, so it's not going to bother him. The kids that doesn't work on them at home, their calf will get tired, get jittery, and then you get out in the ring and their calf's jittery and moves around and jumps around. And so I like to get them in an hour ahead of time, and that goes back to that homework. If they've done that homework and they got that calf trained to stand and be worked on for an hour or 2 or 3 at a time, you won't have no trouble. Get that calf in an hour ahead of time. Give yourself plenty of time to get your calf ready. You go to the ring. Your calf's still stamina's built in, just like an athlete, and because an athlete has to work to get physical shape. It's the same way with the calf. If you get that calf stamina build up, he gets that show ring. Don't bother him a bit. Goes out there, shows, acts fine.
Give me 30 seconds on hair technique. Where do we make the most mistakes, or where can we make a big difference?
I'd say the biggest hair technique I'd say that the mistakes would fall in is when we rinse them and people after they get one wet, they'll just take off and start blowing in all different directions. The next thing you know, they've got cowlicks and they've got and they haven't they aren't working the hair. In other words, get that hair when you rinse one, get their hair laying down, brush it all down, comb it all down, then lay it forward and dry them forward. And then the mistake will come in is they don't get them dry. I'll have a youngster will work on one and say, well, he's dry. Well, in all reality, it takes time to get one dry. Get them dry and get that hair going the same direction. That'd be the biggest mistakes I'd say is they don't do that.
Make sure you're planning and working your plan. Adhesive is another thing. It's one of those things that just takes time and effort. And I guess as I watched you, Dave, make sure you don't get the adhesive can too close. Get a good spray, and if you need more, add some from there. Check with some local people who do a good job in your area and ask them for help if you're a young person, because lots of people like to pass on this tradition of good show quality. My guest, Dave Geyer, as he tells us more about the latest in show techniques. Down the Road is brought to you in part by Prince Agra, makers of Omnigen AF, advancing animal nutrition for healthy animals, and Woodruff Enterprise of Springfield, Ohio.